In the heart of one of the most unforgiving deserts on Earth, a silent war is being fought. But the weapon isn't a machine. It's a rabbit. Yes, a rabbit.
China has just done something no one could have predicted. In a bold and unexpected move, the country released more than 1 million rabbits into one of the harshest deserts on Earth. What began as a seemingly wild experiment to combat desertification quickly turned into a global surprise that captured everyone's attention. The outcome of this project not only transformed the future of the desert itself, but also sparked new discussions about the planet's environmental recovery. The Kubuki Desert Crisis. The Kubuki Desert in Inner Mongolia is the 7th largest desert in China. It covers around 7,200 square miles of land. Long ago, this area was not a desert at all. It was green farmland where people grew crops and raised animals. But over time, people cut too many trees and allowed too many animals to graze. Slowly, the land lost its plants and turned into dry, empty sand. The weather in Kubuki is extreme. In winter, the temperature can fall to 4 degrees below zero. In summer, it rises so high that the sand burns to the touch. Strong winds often blow through the region, carrying sand from place to place. As the years passed, the desert kept growing. It spread about 25 miles east and buried thousands of acres of once fertile land. Villages, crops, and homes disappeared under waves of sand. During the 1950s and 1960s, the Chinese government tried to stop the desert from growing. They started big projects to plant trees and move people to safer areas, but the projects failed. The desert was too big, the weather too harsh, and the resources too few. By the end of the 20th century, Kubuki became a symbol of loss and struggle. Yet, the story did not end there. Decades later, the same desert that once brought despair became the heart of a stunning comeback, one that started with a bold and surprising plan involving millions of rabbits. But while the desert seemed to win every battle, one man refused to give up. His story would change everything. The visionary Wang Wenbao. Wang Wenbao, known today as the Desert King, came from humble beginnings. He was once a poor teacher in Inner Mongolia, living in a small village surrounded by endless sand. Every day, he rode his bicycle 6 miles through the desert to reach his classroom. The wind was harsh, the sand burned his face, and the journey seemed endless. But those long rides gave him time to think. He realized the desert was not his enemy. It was a challenge waiting to be solved. Wang often said, "If I can't escape the desert, I'll make it pay rent." That simple line became his life's mission. He dreamed of turning the barren land into something useful, something alive again. In 1988, with almost nothing to his name, he started a small salt company in the heart of the Kubuki Desert. It was a risky move, but Wang saw opportunity where others saw only dust. Over the years, his company grew, and so did his vision. Instead of just making profit, he began investing heavily in ecological restoration. He spent hundreds of millions of yuan building irrigation systems, planting trees, and experimenting with desert-friendly crops. He worked with local communities, scientists, and even government agencies to bring life back to the land. Through his courage and determination, Wang Wenbao transformed not only his own destiny, but also the fate of the Kubuki Desert, proving that one person's vision can truly change the world. Wang had the vision and the will, but he still needed a secret weapon, and it was smaller than anyone expected: the Rex Rabbit solution. The next big step in saving the Kubuki Desert came from a very unusual idea: rabbits. More than 4 million French-bred Rex rabbits were brought to the area. These rabbits were special. Their soft fur was sold for around $30, but each one cost only $2 to raise. They could survive freezing weather, even when the temperature dropped to 20 degrees below zero. They also multiplied very fast, producing up to 25 litters every year, with almost all their babies surviving. Wang Wenbao and his team built a smart, closed farming system around these rabbits. Everything the rabbits produced was useful. Their meat became food for local families. Their fur was turned into warm clothes and sold for income. Their organs were used in traditional medicine. Even their waste was valuable. Rabbit manure was full of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which helped make the dry desert soil fertile again. The rabbits did more than just help people. They also helped nature. When they ate dry grass, some of the seeds were not digested. As the rabbits moved around, they dropped these seeds back into the sand. Slowly, new plants began to grow wherever the rabbits wandered. In only a few years, green patches started appearing across the once empty land. The rabbits, small and gentle, had become heroes of the desert. Their work proved that even the tiniest creatures can bring life back to the driest places on Earth. The rabbits brought new life to the sand, but they needed partners, something tall, strong, and rooted deep. The willow tree strategy. The second part of Wang Wenbao's plan focused on trees, especially the strong and flexible willow tree. Willows are perfect for harsh lands like Kubuki. Their roots can grow more than 300 feet deep, reaching underground water even in the driest places. These roots hold the sand in place, stop erosion, and keep the ground firm during strong winds. Step by step, the willows became the backbone of the desert's recovery. Wang designed a simple but powerful system where everything supported everything else. The trees gave the rabbits shade and food. In return, the rabbits produced manure full of nutrients that went back into the soil. The healthier soil helped the trees grow faster and stronger. This created a natural cycle: trees, animals, and land working together in balance. Within a few years, the results were stunning. Each acre of restored land began to produce around 5 tons of organic humus every year. What was once dry, useless sand slowly turned into dark, fertile farmland in just 3 to 5 years. The desert started to change color, from yellow to green. Today, more than 300 million willow trees stand tall across Kubuki, forming a living green wall that stretches for miles. These trees have reduced wind speeds by almost 90%, protecting nearby towns and farms. The willow tree strategy showed how smart, natural solutions could turn even the harshest desert into a thriving home full of life. The trees and rabbits worked like magic together. Now it was time to make that magic spread across the entire desert. Large-scale implementation. When the plan began to work, Wang Wenbao decided to make it bigger than ever before. The Kubuki Desert soon became one of the largest green projects in all of China. More than 100 bulldozers moved across the sand every day. Around 300 workers worked up to 18 hours daily, planting trees, building farms, and caring for millions of rabbits. Every part of the plan fit together perfectly. People, animals, and nature all helping each other. In the first 5 years, over 1,200 square miles of dry land turned green again. The endless yellow dunes slowly changed into fields and forests. From far above, even satellites could see the difference, patches of bright green spreading across the once dead desert. The change was not only environmental, but also economic. In just 10 years, the project in the Dilad Banner area raised about 4.5 million rabbits. The sale of fur, meat, and manure brought in more than $76 million. Over 10,000 families who once lived in poverty found stable income and a new sense of pride. For every $3,000 to $4,000 invested, people earned nearly 4 times that amount in the first year. It became proof that helping nature could also help people live better lives. Thousands of workers, millions of rabbits, miles of green land. But Wang wasn't done yet. His next move would shock the world: solar energy innovation. The Kubuki Desert revival did not stop with trees and rabbits. Wang Wenbao's next idea brought clean energy into the heart of the desert. The Junma solar power plant became the symbol of this new chapter. Built with 196,000 solar panels arranged in the shape of a galloping horse, it became so large and beautiful that it earned a Guinness World Record for being the biggest energy artwork on Earth. Every year, this solar farm produces around 2.3 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity, enough to power more than 400,000 people. But the panels do more than just create energy. They cut wind speeds by half, give shade that helps grass grow under them, and even create a special ecosystem where small animals and insects thrive. Sheep and rabbits graze around the panels, keeping the grass short naturally, a clever biological mowing system. By the year 2022, the project had already saved about 760,000 tons of coal and reduced more than 1.8 million tons of carbon dioxide. Around 2,600 acres of land were turned green again. The system worked like a complete circle of life and business, combining meat, fur, manure, biogas, solar energy, and even tourism. Between 2010 and 2020, the Kubuki ecological economy produced nearly $10 billion. What was once a desert of dust had become a shining example of green energy and human creativity. The solar farm was stunning, the money was flowing, but the biggest change was happening beneath the surface, where no one could see: environmental recovery. The Kubuki desert, once dry and lifeless, has now turned into a living landscape full of movement and sound. By the year 2023, reports showed that wildlife had made a strong comeback. Populations of deer, foxes, and migratory birds had grown more than 4 times compared to the numbers seen in 1990. Even species once thought to be gone from the area had returned, filling the skies and grasslands with life again. The changes went deep below the surface too. Over the past 20 years, the groundwater level has risen by about 5 to 6.5 feet. This rise has helped plants grow more easily and created small ponds and wetlands where fish and frogs have started to appear again. The air feels fresher and the land holds more moisture than it has in decades. More than 100 native plant species have come back naturally, spreading across the desert floor. The sand, which was once dry and loose, has turned into rich, life-bearing soil. It is now soft, dark and full of roots, insects and nutrients. Farmers can grow grass, herbs and trees where only dunes once stood. Birds build nests in the willows and rabbits hide among the plants they helped bring back. The desert that once drove people away is now giving them a reason to stay. Kubuki has become living proof that even the most damaged land can heal when people and nature work together. Nature was healing in Kubuki, but on the other side of the world, the same animal had caused total disaster. What made the difference? Australia's rabbit disaster. The story of rabbits in China's Kubuki Desert stands in sharp contrast to what happened in Australia. In the 1850s, European settlers brought only 24 rabbits to Australia for hunting and sport. At first, it seemed harmless, but within 50 years, the rabbit population exploded to more than 1 billion. The animals spread across the continent, eating crops, stripping grasslands bare, and destroying entire ecosystems. The damage was massive. Nearly 2/3 of Australia's fertile plains turned into dry, dusty land. Without plants to hold the soil together, erosion grew worse each year. Farmers lost their fields, native animals lost their homes, and the land became weaker with every season. The government tried everything to stop the rabbits. Giant fences that stretched for thousands of miles, large-scale culling, and even spreading diseases like the myxoma virus. But nothing worked for long. The rabbits kept multiplying faster than they could be controlled. China, however, learned from that history. In Kubuki, the introduction of more than 4 million French Rex rabbits was not wild or uncontrolled. It was carefully managed inside a closed-loop ecological system. Every part of the plan served a purpose: food, fur, fertilizer, and ecosystem balance. The rabbits lived within managed zones, their numbers controlled, their waste recycled to grow plants, and their grazing guided by local farmers. China succeeded where Australia failed. But not everyone believed the story. Critics had serious questions, controversies and challenges. Not everyone believes the rabbits are the real heroes of the Kubuki story. Some people say their role was made to sound bigger than it truly was. They believe the real reason for success came from strong government planning, large investments, and new green technology. The rabbits, they say, were only one part of a much bigger picture that included solar farms, irrigation systems, and careful land control. There are also a few environmental worries. As the project grew fast, it brought some new problems. Too much rabbit manure added a lot of nitrogen to the soil and water. At first, this helped plants grow, but too much nitrogen can harm the land. It can change the soil's pH level, making it harder for some native plants to survive. In a few areas, ponds used for storing fertilizer have turned green with algae. These algae grow because of too many nutrients and can block sunlight from reaching the water below. Still, the overall results remain impressive. The United Nations has officially recognized Kubuki as a global model for desert recovery. Experts from around the world have visited the area and confirmed that the sand has truly turned back into living soil. Even with challenges, the Kubuki project stands as proof of what human effort and smart planning can do. It shows that nature can recover when people work with it instead of against it, turning dry land into a living, breathing home once again. Despite the doubts, the proof was undeniable, and soon the whole world wanted to know the secret. Global recognition and expansion. The success of the Kubuki Desert Project soon reached far beyond China. In the year 2011, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification officially recognized Kubuki as a global model for turning deserts into green, living land. This recognition placed Kubuki on the world stage as proof that environmental recovery and economic growth can go hand in hand. Experts from dozens of countries began visiting the region to study how it worked. They saw how trees, rabbits, and solar power were all connected in a single closed-loop system. Every part of the land was used wisely, creating jobs while restoring nature. The idea inspired similar projects in Africa, the Middle East, and Central Asia, where dry lands faced the same struggle against desertification. In 2019, Kubuki took another big step when it was chosen as the site for a global land restoration demonstration center. The center became a place where scientists, students, and environmental leaders could learn about green development and sustainable desert management. Training programs, workshops, and research projects began spreading the Kubuki model across the world. Many countries are now adapting this model to their own local conditions, using native plants, renewable energy, and smart land use planning to bring life back to damaged areas. Kubuki's story proved that healing the planet is possible. What started as one man's dream in the sands of Inner Mongolia has now grown into a worldwide movement to make deserts bloom again. Countries everywhere were watching, but could this desert miracle actually work somewhere else? One place decided to find out. Case study. Spain's southern region of Andalusia, famous for its olive groves and golden hills, is now facing one of the worst environmental crises in Europe. Over the past 30 years, rainfall has dropped by almost 40%. Rivers that once flowed all year now dry up for months at a time. Irrigation channels crack under the sun, and fields that once produced olives, almonds, and grapes are turning into hard, dusty ground. Scientists warn that around 75% of Spain is now under threat of desertification if action is not taken soon. To fight back, Andalusia has started learning from China's Kubuki desert success story. Inspired by the Chinese model, the regional government launched the Andalusia Restoration Plan 2030. The plan focuses on combining natural methods with modern technology to bring dry land back to life. One of the main goals is to build a Mediterranean green wall, a vast network of trees, shrubs, and grasslands designed to stop the spread of the desert and restore soil moisture. Another key part of the plan is regenerative agriculture. Farmers are being trained to use methods that rebuild soil instead of wearing it down. These include rotating crops, planting cover plants, and using compost made from animal waste, all similar to the closed-loop systems used in Kubuki. Andalusia is also testing a new idea called agro-photovoltaic solar systems, or agro-PV. These systems place solar panels above farmlands, giving shade to crops while producing clean energy. The shade helps the soil retain water, while the power supports local communities. This mix of green technology and traditional farming offers new hope for Spain's driest region. If the Andalusia Restoration Plan succeeds, it could become Europe's version of the Kubuki miracle, proof that even in a changing climate, deserts can bloom again with care and creativity. From endless dunes to green forests, the Kubuki Desert's rebirth shows what happens when vision, science, and patience come together. One man's dream sparked a global movement that's now shaping the future of dry lands worldwide. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the world's most inspiring eco-stories alive.